All right, well, welcome everyone. I am going to call the meeting of the Sentencing Guidelines Commission to order. Today is January 8th, 2026. And I will ask Director Wrights to take the roll.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Roll call, Vice Chair Larkin. Larkin present, Commissioner Castro. Castro absent, Commissioner Fraze.
Present.
Fraze present, Commissioner Keefe. Keefe present, Commissioner Ladd.
Present.
Ladd present, Commissioner Mazzaros.
Present.
Mazzaros present, Commissioner Middlebrook.
Present.
Middlebrook present, Commissioner Moore.
Present.
Moore present, Commissioner Morin.
Present.
Morin present, Commissioner Mueller.
Present.
Mueller present, Commissioner Reeves. Reeves present, Commissioner Saxena.
Present.
Saxena present, Chair Mitchell.
Here.
Chair Mitchell present. Madam Chair, there are 12 members present, 1 member absent.
All right, so with that, we do have a quorum. The next item on the agenda is adoption of the draft meeting agenda. And I'd entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
Commissioner Reeves moves and Commissioner Larkin seconds. Do we have any discussion on the agenda? Hearing none, we will go ahead and take a vote on that.
On the adoption of the agenda, Larkin.
Yes.
Larkin, yes. Castro. Castro absent. Fraze.
Yes.
Fraze, yes. Keefe. Keefe, yes. Ladd.
Yes.
Ladd, yes. Mazzaros.
Yes.
Mazzaros, yes. Middlebrook.
Yes.
Middlebrook, yes. Moore.
Yes.
Moore, yes. Morin.
Yes.
Morin, yes. Mueller.
Yes.
Mueller, yes. Reeves. Reeves, yes. Saxena.
Yes.
Saxena, yes. Chair Mitchell.
Yes.
Chair Mitchell, yes. Madam Chair, there are 12 members in favor, no members opposed.
With that, the motion is approved unanimously. Next item on the agenda is approval of the draft meeting minutes from December 18th, 2025. You all should have received the minutes and had a chance to review them last week. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes. Oh, Commissioner Middlebrook makes that motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Larkin seconds.
Madam Chair, we do have one correction that Commissioner Middlebrook pointed out to me. And that is on page 2, the paragraph beginning pursuant to the public hearing notice. There's a date of October 25th. That should have been November 25th. That's the end of the public comment period, which is 5 days after the public hearing, which was on November 20th. So we apologize for that typo, but we would ask that the motion be to approve the minutes as corrected.
Commissioner Middlebrook, would you like to amend your motion?
Yes. Also move with that correction.
Okay, so moving to amend the motion to approve the minutes as corrected. And Commissioner Larkin, do you accept that change?
I do.
All right, so we do have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, we'll take a vote.
To the Middlebrook motion to approve the December 18th, 2025 meeting minutes as corrected. Larkin?
Yes.
Larkin, yes. Castro? Castro absent. Fraze?
Yes.
Fraze, yes. Keefe? Keefe, yes. Ladd?
Yes.
Ladd, yes. Mazzaros?
Yes.
Mazzaros, yes. Middlebrook?
Yes.
Middlebrook, yes. Moore?
Yes.
Moore, yes. Morin?
Yes.
Morin, yes. Mueller?
Yes.
Mueller, yes. Reeves? Reeves, yes. Saxena?
Yes.
Saxena, yes. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mitchell, yes. Madam Chair, there are 12 votes in favor, no votes opposed.
And with that, the motion is approved unanimously. Next item on the agenda, sadly, is a recognition of service. This is Vice Chair Larkin's last meeting. And we're going to start by, I've asked, I didn't ask. Director Wrights always pulls together some really factual information about people as they're leaving. So he's going to tell us a little bit about you first.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And if my voice, I'll remain seated if I may, just because I need to be close to the microphone with my voice today. Judge Michelle Larkin is the 6th Court of Appeals judge to serve on the Sentencing Guidelines Commission. After 6¼ years of dedicated service to the commission, she has sadly decided that today will be her last meeting with us. Following her initial appointment by Chief Justice Lori Gilday in 2019, Judge Larkin's contributions to the commission's work included setting in motion the 2020 adoption of the commission's first ever meeting rules, which have increased the commission's internal and external transparency. She also distinguished herself with her work on 2 legislatively directed reviews, a 2020 review of how the sentencing guidelines address child pornography and a 2022 review of how the guidelines address sex trafficking. On October 6, 2023, as the commission was beginning its first ever comprehensive review of the sentencing guidelines, Judge Larkin's fellow commission members unanimously elected her vice chair. She later served on the steering committee for that comprehensive review, and her service today culminates in the notable completion of the main first effort of that comprehensive review.
Thank you. And now I get to say the fluffy stuff. And I never prepare because I'm terrible at preparing remarks. So, you know, it may not come off smoothly. When Nate put on there that you were elected vice chair right before the comprehensive review, like I didn't exactly remember when it happened, but it makes sense because the 2 of us then got together very shortly afterwards to talk about what would be a strategy, like how should we do some of this, work. And I want to say that this whole process of the comprehensive review, we wouldn't be here today without your leadership. It was like we have not always agreed on things, and that's the point of having commissions like this, right? Is to have those opposing views, to make sure that we hear all sides, to make sure that we are considering all the angles. And so, you know, like when you were elected vice chair, I was a little nervous because we hadn't agreed on too much up to that point. But it has really, truly been a pleasure to work with you. It's been a great process to work with you through the comprehensive review, especially. I really appreciated how you challenged my thinking, how you've challenged all of our thinking. And I think we have better proposals because of it. And I really appreciate your leadership.
Can I say something?
Please do.
Okay. Kelly and I, for those of you who have not been here for 6 years, had our share of battles. And when I was elected vice chair, and it was probably a little bit of a coup, Justice Moore decided, he's like, now you need to change course and work with Kelly. And I did that from day one. And I have to say, it's been a great lesson for me in the need to recognize that people have very different opinions on how things should work. Yet there's always room for compromise, and we're much better off when we find the areas of compromise and move forward instead of shutting each other down at every opportunity. And I think I know I made that switch, and when we started working together and when we started whiteboarding and saying, how are we going to do all this work in a year, we were able to accomplish so much, and I'm proud to have been a part of that and proud to work with you and your leadership on the committee. Thank you.
Thank you. And you get
Fabulous.
a beautiful plaque there. For those of you who are online, sorry, but we have cake and you do not. So we're going to have cake a little bit later.
Thank you.
I do want to give you the plaque.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good work.
And I see Justice Moore raising his hand too. And if there's anything you want to say in addition to that, I'm happy to. But Justice Moore, do you want to jump in here real quick?
Well, I absolutely do. I apologize that I'm not there in person today. We had a long conference, and actually there's a retirement gathering for 2 of Judge Larkin's colleagues later on this afternoon that I'm hoping maybe I can get to. I want to echo everything that Director Mitchell just said. I think the pairing of you 2 as chair and vice chair has worked to the commission's advantage. It's a classic example of what happens when people work together in a constructive manner and frankly, maybe put down some of the armaments that had been there previously and start listening to each other. And it's worked out really well, and I couldn't agree more. I mean, the comprehensive review, it was a monumental undertaking, and the work that was done on the steering committee, their executive committee was just important and really game changing in order to get this moving forward. So, Judge Larkin, I congratulate you for your years of service. I know Judge Eid will be replacing you, but we will miss your years of wisdom and your thoughts and your strategic thinking. But I appreciate the work you've done for us up to now.
Yeah, please go ahead. So go ahead, just Commissioner Larkin.
I just want to introduce Judge Eid, who's here. He's my replacement. I don't have my glasses, so I can only see Commissioner Reeves. And people have said to me, and even Commissioner Ladd on the way here, how's your replacement going to be? My replacement's going to be excellent. You're going to love him. He has experience as a public defender, state court level, federal public defender, prosecutor with the Attorney General's office, district court judge in Hennepin County, now with us at the Court of Appeals. He's one of the hardest working judges at the Court of Appeals. He actually reads all the circulating opinions line by line. I mean, we all read the circulating opinions, but he gives you like these comments and edits and thoughtful suggestions. And we keep saying to him, you got to knock it off. You can't keep up this. He's chaired our Equal Justice Committee for the past 2 years on the Court of Appeals, and I know he's stepping away from that so he can do this. He's very invested in this. He needs to be on this rewrite commission because subcommittee is one of our best writers, best editors, so I hope he'll step up and do that. You're going to love him.
Awesome.
I promise.
Thank you. Commissioner Ladd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I'm not turning my screen on purpose. I'm upset not to be there. I really wanted to come for Judge Larkin's last day, but I'm really sick, and none of you want that with your cake. So I just want to say that everything that the words that have been said for Judge Larkin ring true for me as well. I feel like I'm the new kid on the commission, and all of a sudden, Kelly and Catherine are the only two that are left that were there when I started, and there's a lot of fresh faces. That's a good thing, and it's also a challenging thing because that institutional knowledge that we have on what we're doing and why we're doing it is so helpful. And I hit the ground running because of a large part of Judge Larkin sort of getting me up to speed on a lot of hot things. I came in the middle of the custody status point issue, and we all know how challenging that's been. But I appreciate Judge Larkin's leadership, and I can't say it better than what Justice Moore stated when Commissioner Mitchell and Commissioner Larkin took the positions of chair and vice chair. That coming together really was valuable, I think, for all of us. And I think it gave us all pause to understand that we need to listen. And I've learned a lot through that process, and I think it's only because of Judge Larkin and her role on this commission. So I'm going to miss her, and I'm glad to know that her replacement coming in is going to be a rock star. But I do appreciate everything that she's done, and I'm going to miss sort of her wisdom and her leadership on this commission.
Thank you. And I didn't actually, I moved right to talk to Colleen and Commissioner Ladd, and I didn't say welcome, Judge Eid. We're really excited to have you here as well, and I'm looking forward to having you on the commission next month. Sorry for doing that. Didn't mean to overlook his presence here today. Anything else? No. All right. So we're gonna get through our agenda, and then we're gonna go eat cake and celebrate proper. But it is a bittersweet moment today for sure. All right. Next item on the agenda is approval of the draft 2026 report to the legislature. And I assume Director Wrights, you'll be taking us through some things there.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So we did make the changes that were discussed at last meeting, and I'm going to just walk you through some of the changes. They're all highlighted in yellow. Some of them were fairly typographical, so I'm not going to be going through all the changes. You've had a chance to look at them, but I will say also there were still some errors or some page references that were incorrect or showed up as an error. And I would ask that whoever makes the motion to actually finally adopt the report, approve the report to the legislature, do so with the caveat that the staff is empowered to make editorial non-substantive corrections to that, as well as add any last minute data that we might get from some of the straggler counties between now and whenever we actually get it out. So the first on page 4.
Did you mean to, oh, there it is. Okay.
So there's footnote 9, which acknowledges what we've all discussed today. Now, this is a little bit unusual because Judge Eade will actually be a member of the commission effective tomorrow. So this report is dated January 15th. So technically, Judge Eade should be the one on the masthead and he should be the one on the list. However, since this is a report essentially of the commission's activities in 2025, and because Judge Larkin was the participant in all of those activities, I've taken the liberty of leaving Judge Larkin's name here and relegated Judge Eade's name to this footnote. The next change is on page, well, we have several changes. Well, we corrected Commissioner Middlebrook not being on the steering committee. But then there's a number of, there's quite a bit of language, as we discussed last time, that the chair offered to contribute additional language that explained in greater detail the commission's rationale and thinking along these lines. So basically what's highlighted on the next several pages is essentially the chair's rationale. And you've had a chance to look at that. Going through page 7 and then several footnotes, essentially bringing in the evidence base for some of these evidence-based decisions. And then we get to page 13. And we have a mistake. Let's see. Sorry, it's actually, this is numbered page 7. So I should have brought this up earlier. It's page 13 of the PDF. At the top there's just a missing word "to." And this was brought to my attention by 2 alert commission members. So I appreciate everybody's hard work on this.
That means they're reading it closely.
That does mean they're reading it closely, and one of them is leaving the commission today. So hopefully Judge Eade will step up and be a good proofreader as well. But the word "to" is missing there before that it was unanimously advanced. The proposal was unanimously advanced to a public hearing in October, and then it goes on to describe the public hearing process. So the only other change that I wanted to bring to the attention had to do with the legislative recommendations. And that's here toward the end. And this was as discussed. So we essentially have 4 legislative recommendations and 2 suggestions. And the change that was made consistent with the commission's discussion was in December was to change suggestion 2 to be more of a suggestion and less prescriptive as to exactly what the statutory maximums should be. So it's simply a suggestion to revisit, reconsider whether the statutory maximum penalties continue to accurately reflect the offenses, each offense's relative severity. And that's really all I wanted to walk through on the draft report to the legislature, Madam Chair. We will, as is required by law, submit this to the members and leadership of the House and Senate crime committees on or before January 15th of 2026.
Are there any other parts of the report that anybody wanted to see or had any questions about? I don't think there were changes anywhere else, right? That was it?
They were very minor typographical changes
Okay.
that were highlighted.
And the firearms report at the end would be more updated than what we saw
Correct.
at the end, but that's not really our report. That's just a
That's true.
requirement that we have to do. Commissioner Moore.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Director Wrights, was there a prison bed impact insert here that I missed, or I wasn't sure if we had completed that yet?
It is there. There was an error with the bookmark on page 15, numbered page 15, PDF page 21. It does reference it's let's see. Yeah, I'll fix that, but it should be a reference to the appendix that has the prison bed impact.
Okay.
Which is appendix 3 on page 107.
Thank you.
So that's what
Oh, that's what the bookmark was supposed to.
yeah,
go to.
this bookmark was supposed to reference appendix 3. I'm not sure what happened with that broken bookmark, but we have caught that and we'll fix that. But appendix 3 contains essentially in the text of the report, the appendixes go long, let's put it that way. So there's a lot of language in the appendices. The report is sort of for the busy legislator who doesn't necessarily have time to read every word.
Got
So
it.
the appendix does have the breakdown of the bed projections as well as the demographic impact and the timing and so forth.
Thank you.
All right. So, Justice Moore, were you raising your hand again, or did that just? Oh, it's okay. It's down.
Sorry, I'm a Zoom Teams newbie. Sorry.
That's okay.
And this is WebEx, so
Yeah.
Even worse.
even worse.
Yeah, WebEx really throws me for a loop, that's for sure. Okay, so then on item 3, I'd be looking for a motion to approve the draft report, to approve the report to the legislature with the caveat that staff would be empowered to make technical changes and to update any data that comes in subsequent to our motion, correct? Is that the way we want to move it?
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, okay, perfect. So Commissioner Reeves makes the motion, Commissioner Mazaros seconds that motion. All right, any discussion on the motion? All right. Hearing none, I think we'll vote on the report.
All right, to the Reeves motion to approve the 2026 report to the legislature with authority for staff to make technical corrections and data updates. Larkin?
Yes.
Larkin, yes. Castro?
Yes.
Castro, yes. Fraze?
Yes.
Fraze, yes. Keefe? Keefe, yes. Ladd?
Yes.
Ladd, yes. Mazaros?
Yes.
Mazaros, yes. Middlebrook?
Yes.
Middlebrook, yes. Moore?
Yes.
Moore, yes. Morin?
Yes.
Morin, yes. Mueller?
Yes.
Mueller, yes. Reeves? Reeves, yes. Saxena?
Yes.
Saxena, yes. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mitchell, yes. Madam Chair, there are 13 votes in favor, no votes opposed.
And with that, the motion is approved unanimously. All right, well, that was the main thing we were all here for today, so we can go eat cake now. I'm just kidding. All right, next item on the agenda is really looking ahead to our 2026 priorities. And so I sent a memo out, and when you have a chance, if you wouldn't mind pulling that up, that'd be really helpful. Thank you. I sent a memo out because now we have to sort of think about what's the next phase of our work. And especially because we have so many new members on the commission, I really wanted to hear from you all. What are the things that that you think are some priorities that we need to address in this next year? I also don't want to hide the ball and let you know that normally we approve our final report in January, like we just did. I have set up the schedule to approve the report in December with the expectation that, so I'm here under the Commissioner of Corrections appointment. As soon as the Commissioner of Corrections changes, I don't have this appointment. So I think it's important that we get the work done before January comes around, because we could have a change in leadership with the next administration. So I just wanted to set it up so that we're all headed towards that goal, so we can get that year's work done on time and get it in. And then the staff's not sweating bullets because there's no chair to run the meeting in January. So that's the whole rationale for that. Nate has actually expressed some anxiety about that to me in the past. So that would be the goal, is that we would finish up in December and we could all have our holidays off, except them, because they would have to finalize those words, but they'd have more time. First of all, I wanted to go through just a little bit. There's a couple of things that, as we've been doing the comprehensive review this last year, we've said we don't have time to do that this year. We're going to put it on the agenda for next year. And so the items that show up in the memo first are those things. And so I just wanted to pull those out. So first of all, the steering committee had identified 6 areas of focus for looking at re-rankings. And we really had focused on the standard grid because of the fact that the sex offender grid had a lot of attention with the directives that we received from the legislature, and because of the fact that the drug grid was a fairly new grid, having just been recently created, and then having gone through some changes with the was it the DRSA? I don't remember what you called that act,
Right.
but the Drug Reform
Drug
Act.
Sentencing Reform, DSR.
Drug Reform Sentencing Act, yeah, DSRA. Okay, so anyway, so there had been a lot of attention to that grid as well, but there'd been no attention to the standard grid in a long time. So that's why we had focused our attention last year on potentially reviewing the rankings of a lot of offenses there. Commissioner Ladd actually did a full review of the standard grid and outlined a lot of issues. And we actually, as a steering committee, agreed with a lot of those issues. So we had identified buckets of offenses that really particularly appeared to need some attention. And these were the 3 left that we didn't get to, because then we took those 6 buckets. We had 6 buckets of offenses. We took those and prioritized those and brought forward the ones that had the most input from stakeholders and that we had heard more about. So those were the ones that we worked on this past year. The ones that were left on the main grid were motor vehicle theft and offenses resulting in death. There's some inconsistency in how those are ranked compared to offenses resulting in great bodily harm or other forms of other levels of harm. So we thought we needed to look at those. And then we did have some desire to still go back and look at some of the offenses on the drug grid as well. So those were the 3 buckets that were left. There's probably more that we could work on, and I think Commissioner Ladd might even have an opinion about that, because she brought more to our attention than these 6 areas. So first item there is doing some re-rankings, and I'm just as like a quick pass, I'm wondering if there are folks on the commission who see other areas that we should particularly pay attention to. If I know you haven't had a lot of time to think about it, but are there other things that are rising to the top for you? Commissioner Middlebrook?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think if we're looking at offense groups under the motor vehicle theft, I think we should look at some of the other theft offenses, especially since we did so much work on the standard grid with person offenses. I think that we need to do some comparing there and kind of re-looking at some of those rankings more than just the motor vehicle theft. So I think we should do it as a group.
I think you've been wanting to do that for a while, Commissioner Director Wrights.
There's some oddities about how the guidelines rank theft offenses that assume things that aren't necessarily true, let's put it that way, and I think could be addressed.
Okay. Other thoughts, Commissioner Keith?
Talking about domestic violence, and before I brought up the idea of exploring.
Did we
I'm sorry to interrupt. Online, we weren't able to hear the comment from Commissioner Keefe.
I'm assuming green means it's on.
Yeah, I think somebody just
Okay.
turned it on for you. so.
Okay, great, thanks. I was saying, looking at domestic violence cases and at the grid, I had previously brought up the idea of exploring what it would be like to have a separate grid for domestic violence. So talking about that and looking at what the grid looks like right now itself.
Thank you. Any other thoughts? Things that are jumping out at people right now? Commissioner Castro.
Thank you, Madam Chair. When you're referring to offenses resulting in death, we're talking about any offense. I mean, we did kind of deal a little bit with that, I guess, with the opposite of that, with the great bodily harm. So you're talking about all offenses resulting.
Can't remember anymore. Do you?
Yeah, there's quite a few offenses that have sort of it is very analogous to the great bodily harm issue. The general pattern is you commit some kind of misbehavior, and as a result of that misbehavior, somebody suffers great bodily harm. Well, in this case, it'd be somebody suffers death, and just kind of looking at how all those are ranked and whether there's consistency and logic to how the rankings occur.
So I'm particularly concerned with the new felony murder statute, how it is, whoever can understand it, how it essentially increases the level of culpability that the legislature essentially made it much more difficult to be convicted of a felony murder because the culpability is significantly greater. And I think that's something that we should look at. If culpability increase, and perhaps the sentence should increase as well.
Okay.
Such subject.
All right. Any other thoughts there? I should have said, we're going to take some input today. Not going to really make decisions today. We'll make decisions probably next month. But I just wanted to say, like, today is like let's air it. Let's get it all out there. Let's start to think about it. How could this work? Commissioner Mazzaros.
Not necessarily, thanks, Madam Chair, an offense group, but at some point I would like to explore what like trauma-informed sentencing could look like. We know that there's a high number of people in prisons with TBIs. Like, where could some of that stuff fit into sentencing and, stop cycles of recidivism at that stage to get somebody directed to where they need to be versus the same cycle of incarceration and reincarceration and more incarceration. So.
It's interesting. Yeah.
So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other input there? Okay. Then the second item that we had put off is Hernandezing. So for folks who may not be familiar with Hernandezing, this occurs when somebody is convicted of multiple offenses and during a sentencing event, so they come to the court for sentencing on multiple offenses. As they're convicted of each offense, that offense then becomes criminal history on the next offense that's taken up for sentencing within that same event. So Hernandezing is the application of criminal history on subsequent convictions within the same sentencing event. And so we looked at that a little bit with the steering committee. We had some data, which I think I'm probably going to ask that we look at next time at our next meeting. We had some information about how other states deal with this issue as well. And we had some agreement that we wanted to do something with the Hernandezing rule, but we couldn't get to what that might be. And we sort of ran out of time. So we decided, all right, let's kick this can. down the road. So Hernandezing would be one of the topics that we would take up, and I would anticipate putting together a subcommittee to work on this particular issue. So I'm sort of interested, just as a rough cut, like, are there individuals on the commission who would be interested in working on an issue like that in a subcommittee? No commitment needs to be made today. I'm just sort of wondering who might be interested. Anyone?
Question. I'm kind of curious, get a better understanding on what the problem is, right, with Hernandez.
Yeah.
Is it that it's complicated, or is that we as judges, and I'll put myself in that place, sometimes have difficult deciding what to Hernandez, what not to Hernandez, what to give consecutive, what even to sentence? Is that the bigger problem, or is
All of the above. It's a little bit of everything. It's complicated, so we did get feedback about the complexity of Hernandezing. There are some offenses where Hernandezing is part of that sentence almost all the time. And then there are some offenses where the way that the offense tends to be charged, you can move across the grid all the way across the grid in one sentencing event. So there's some, sort of outcomes I don't know that we anticipated might happen when Hernandezing was developed. So just trying to sort of see if we can tackle some of those other issues that get raised through and simplify it. I don't know if we can accomplish that, but can we address some of those issues and potentially simplify that rule? I don't remember, I don't know what order it was in, so I'll go left to right on my screen. Commissioner Moore and then Commissioner Ladd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just throwing my name in the hat there if you need somebody to work on that proposal. It is a complicated rule. I agree with what Judge Castro said. I've applied it and tried to apply it and dealt with appeals relating to it. So I don't know if I have any more knowledge than anybody else, but I'd be glad to be helpful.
Excellent, thanks. Commissioner Ladd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I too would be interested in this, and just for a point of information related to Judge Castro's comments, I think that the issue was really twofold when we discussed this in the steering committee. Excuse me. One issue was just sort of the complexity of how it gets applied at sentencing and what that does. But one of the topics that came up that we used as an example was with child pornography, and about how somebody could essentially come in to sentencing on a case with essentially no criminal history, but related to the child pornography and all of that, and those offenses being Hernandezed, they are essentially sent to prison. I'm just paraphrasing. And so we talked about that. And I think that's probably one of the things that's going to be difficult. And I want this on everybody's radar, is understanding sort of the kinds of offenses that we're talking about here, because it's pretty wide ranging. And I don't know if there's a carve out exception to it applying to certain offenses or not. But I do think that that's complicated in the analysis. So I would be interested in serving on a subcommittee related to this topic, because I think it's important, but it is really complicated. And I'd be happy to be part of that conversation.
Thank you. That's great. Commissioner Reeves.
As will I.
You would like to be on it too? Okay, awesome. Yeah.
My
Commissioner Larkin.
replacement can weigh in tomorrow.
The replacement might be interested. Is that what I'm hearing?
Could that be?
On this committee?
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, I was also interested in the reorganizing numbering of the
Awesome. I think it's helpful to know today. Why wait?
Yeah, okay, great. Commissioner Moore, did you have your hand up again?
Sorry, no, I haven't figured out how to lower it. Sorry.
And I never notice when you don't lower it, so that's half the battle is that And then I see Commissioner Ladd raised hers, but Commissioner Middlebrook just had her hand up ahead. So we'll go Middlebrook and then Ladd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm also interested in this issue, and I think it would be really helpful to get some of the other states, the way that they sentence in situations like this. Because I do recall from the national conference that there was different, they treated it differently, not so much as how you'd use it in criminal history, but some modifier. So there's some other options out there that I think would be really interesting to hear from other places that might give us some ideas.
Sounds good. I think Commissioner Ladd took her hand down, or did you still have something to say, Commissioner Ladd?
I just briefly, I was going to make the same point that Commissioner Middlebrook did. I think it's helpful as we went through this process previously, looking at what other states did to sort of be thought provoking and not necessarily reinventing the wheel, but understanding what they're doing and whether or not, that has application for us. And I think that's really helpful. So I was going to make that same suggestion.
Okay, sounds great. Director Wrights.
I was just going to add, the agency bought a book and I have in my living room, and I did not read it over Christmas break, but it's called Sentencing Multiple Offenses. It's an anthology of different academics' perspectives on this. I think Professor Fraze might have a chapter in there actually, but I would commend that book to the committee's attention. And by which I mean they can have the copy.
Commissioner Fraze, did you want to add anything?
I plead guilty. I'm in that book. And I, as you know, I am interested in this topic because we didn't get to it.
Yep, sounds good. All right, next on the agenda, the third thing that we put off is this third area to reorganize, renumber, simplify the structure for the sentencing guidelines. This was Director Wrights's proposal. He had a really fantastic proposal that he brought to the steering committee for how we could reorganize the guidelines, renumber them. But it just was too late in the process for us to really get on board with it, because it does end up collapsing a few rules and things like that. So we just didn't want to go that far, given all the other things that we had in the mix. And I'm going to let Director Wrights talk about it a little bit more.
Well, this project was inspired by a comment. I think it might have been from a probation officer. There were several comments that we had in the stakeholder engagement that the guidelines are just too complicated. And one of the more constructive comments suggested that, why don't the sentencing guidelines look more like the Minnesota statutes? And that's really what this is based on. So it organizes it into different chapters and then sections within chapters. In some cases, things just weren't that clear, and there was some actual policy change that were made. But in most cases, it was simply reorganizing things so people can find things. Probably the most egregious example is how the guidelines deal with mandatory minimums, and some of them are put in 2C and some of them are put in 2E, and there's really not a overarching guide as to what sequence these are supposed to be applied and so forth. So hopefully the goal is to make it so that somebody just looking at the sentencing guidelines can sort of get a feel for how the system works just by looking at the structure.
So there again, Commissioner.
And I was just going to chime in. I think one of the public comments we had was from a practitioner who said, everything you need is in there. It's just impossible to find.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's all about organization. But when doing this, if it's supposed to be just a stylistic reorg, ensure that it is, because I know the criminal rules did that, and then people are like, well, they changed this, and it's like they're not trying to change anything. So I think that'll be an area where you have to be a little careful to make sure you don't unintentionally set up legal issues for the courts to deal with.
And I guess the pushback I would have is sometimes there were just ambiguities that just make a choice, but rather I don't think that should leave ambiguities in place. I think it should resolve ambiguities and flag those and say, we're making a choice here. Just so you're aware, this is not just stylistic, you know, we're choosing X or Y and then. just
And
make
I
it-
think that's terrific.
Yeah.
My concern is, we think we're just doing something to reorg or change the language and we don't realize that we're actually doing something which might cause lawyers to say, oh, they changed it, here's the new way. So it's just unintentional changes.
Yeah. Yeah. So for that reason, we need a subcommittee because the
Exactly.
Director Wrights will do the work of sort of doing that reorganization, but there will be those places where, you know, some judgment calls are needed, or, you know, some secondary review will be helpful to make sure that we catch everything, that we're not doing anything unintentionally, that anything that we do change is intentional. So a subcommittee to work with Director Wrights on that project, that's something that I would like to also set up. So I'll be asking for anyone who might be interested in that. Commissioner Ladd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess I'm asking for clarification for myself as well as everyone else. With all of these subcommittees, I know how it worked last time with the structure of prior to our meetings, and we met sometimes even more frequently. Is that expected and anticipated, and would each of these be separate standalone meetings? Or I'm just wondering from a time commitment perspective, so that if we've got people, including myself, that say, yeah, I want to do this, I'm curious about what that structure looks like in terms of, is it going to be modeled like how we did it before or something else?
Yeah, I haven't really figured that one out yet. I'll just be honest. I do think it worked well for us to have shorter commission meetings last time to allow the subcommittees the time to use the rest of that time to get some work done. I think it really depends on what we ultimately prioritize next month. How much work is there, and what's it going to take to get that work done? So that's something I think we'll figure out in February if I can kick that can down the road a little bit. So Director Wrights, did you have a
Oh, I
comment?
was just pointing out.
Oh,
Commissioner
sorry,
Castro.
Commissioner Castro.
I'd just like to volunteer to assist on that project.
Really? You've already done a rewrite before and now you want to do another one?
Hey.
Excellent. Great. Thanks. All right. Anyone? Oh, you want Commissioner Middlebrook is interested in that one? Okay. And Judge Eid might want this one. Okay. Okay. Anyone else? Any other takers? I think Commissioner Fraze, you were potentially interested in this one too, correct? He might be.
Sorry, yes.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. Anyone else? Okay, so that's it for the stuff that we had kicked down the road. The next thing I'm going to do, or in a minute, I'm going to go around and ask all of you to weigh in to see if there's other things you want to add to the table for consideration. But first, let's just go down to the timeline and just to let you know the constraints we're working within. And this goes to Commissioner Ladd's question as well. So what's funky about the commission is that we have some annual work that interrupts our work every year, and sort of like it gets a little hard to manage the timeline. So first constraint is, I want us to be done by December. I want us to be all the way done by December. So I'm starting at the right hand of this timeline. So I want us to be all the way done by December so that our report, it can be adopted around there. I've put the public hearing in November, which makes it a little tough on the staff to try to get a draft report, but they've done this before. They know how to do it. They'll figure it out. So November would be the latest we could have a public hearing. That means that we have to send our final proposals for change to public hearing by the October meeting. So essentially, we don't have, a ton of time to get through a lot of work. So we really we're going to have to be a little choosy about what we work on and how long it takes. So that means that sort of working backwards, that allows September to be working on proposals. We typically don't have a meeting in August. We could have one if we decide that we need one. So we could, but we'll want to, if we do that, we'd need to figure that out a little earlier rather than later so that we can make sure that everybody's available for that date. But typically we don't have a meeting, and we have folks that are going to the NAS conference instead, the National Association of Sentencing Commissions. But then what happens that really throws our schedule out of whack is that in June and July, we're always dealing with whatever came out of the legislative session. So the legislative session ends sometime in May. If they touch any criminal offenses, any felonies, we've got to take a look at those to determine if that means that we need to re-rank something or rank something that might be new. So we always have a chunk of our June agenda, if not all of it, dedicated to reviewing legislation. It's not a major year, so we'll see. They may not do much this year. We'll find out. And then that means that in July, we have to hold a public hearing on whatever those proposed rankings are. And then a week later, we come back and we confirm those rankings. And then that allows the staff to get the new set of guidelines ready for September 1 or August 1st. Sorry, for an August 1st date. So that interrupts our time. It doesn't give us a lot of time there to have other things on the agenda, except maybe it does if the legislature did nothing. So it's really hard to know how much time we have aside from those activities in June and July. So anyway, so that means that like our core time to do policy work typically is now through May. So this is where we could, in this period, shorten the time frame for these meetings to open up time for subcommittee work to happen. And so if that's something that we want to do, and especially depending on what we come up with for the priorities, we can certainly we can do that, and then that's usually easier on all the members. We don't really tend to have that luxury in June and July because of needing to get that other work done. So that's where that can happen. Theoretically, we could be doing that in the fall too, but really by fall, we better have some proposals that we're seriously working through in order to make our next public hearing deadline, because anything that we might send to the legislature will have to get through that public hearing at the end of the year in order for us to include it in our report. So that's sort of the reality of the way that our cycle works. Anything to add there? No? Okay, so that all in mind, now we'll go back up, and what I would like to hear is whether there are other ideas for things that the commission should be working on this year. And if it's okay with you guys, I'm just going to go around the room and ask everybody, and then I'll hit everybody online. So Latanya, would you be willing to start us off?
I can start. I think we have a good list, but in particular, I want to do the domestic violence. And so I think we have enough to work with for the year. But yes.
So you're interested in the domestic violence, but you'd like the list we have. Okay. Thank you. Marlon. Marlon, do you have anything that you want to talk about?
Just kind of what I brought up earlier.
The trauma one?
Yeah.
The trauma informed?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You don't get a say. Is there anything you want to leave us with? Any parting thoughts?
It's like you're gonna have a lot to do in a year. If you take up Hernandizing and this rewrite,
Yeah.
that's a lot.
Yeah. I agree. All right. Commissioner Middlebrook.
Yeah, I think we have a pretty good list there. And obviously there may be some things that come up from particularly the rewrite where there's some ambiguity that they're going to need to make decisions on too. So I guess they're right off the, can't think of any of those right now, but I know there are some.
Okay. Commissioner Keefe.
Domestic violence. And then just to add to what Commissioner Mazzara was saying, I think talking about trauma-informed sentencing, but also what restorative justice, restorative practice looks like, since that has come up multiple times in different ways. And given the timeline, I wonder if we can think about what the priority is for this year, but also things that we want to work on next year, and if there's some steps that we can take, given that some of these are really nuanced and thinking about the impact that's good, but also potentially problematic, might take us some time to really dig into.
Yeah, so are there some things that might be just more than a year, like that will
Mhm.
take longer?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Commissioner Castro.
I'm satisfied with the list we have now.
Okay. All right, now I'm gonna go online. So the first one on my screen is Commissioner Moore.
Well, Madam Chair, I agree with my colleagues that I think we've got a full plate for 26, and with the impending changes to the commission's composition in 27, I think we really ought to just make sure we prioritize focusing on the priorities that you've laid out, which I think are excellent. And as Commissioner Middlebrook mentioned, undoubtedly there'll be some things that will come up during that discussion that we could maybe talk about more.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Fraze.
Well, I echo the comments that it's a lot to do by May. But I mean, I guess we'll have to see what this, what Director Wright's restructuring ideas include. There's certainly a range of things that could cover, and like we did the last round, we'll just have to prioritize.
All right. Commissioner Saxena.
Thank you. I agree with the agenda. I think it's a good set of priorities. I agreed with the comment I think Commissioner Middlebrook had made about considering whether to add other theft offenses as part of our re-ranking exercise there. I guess I do have one question that I would pose, which is with respect to the re-ranking exercises, I would be interested in voting on the final proposals for each set of offense groups separately, as opposed to as a combined package. I do think that the re-ranking exercises last time were, it was very helpful to sort of do the discussion that we did and hear everyone's views. I think we came to a consensus on almost every single offense group. I don't know that there was consensus on every one. And I think that it might actually be more efficient if the commission voted on each offense group or re-ranking proposal by groups separately, as opposed to all of the groups together. So I just wanted to throw that out there as an idea.
All right, thanks for that feedback. I appreciate it. Commissioner Ladd.
I don't have anything else to offer. I think having lived through the last subcommittee work on what we did and realizing we took on more than probably we could get accomplished, I think this is a heavy lift. And with our abbreviated timelines, I think it's a good path. And I would agree that if something comes up that we have to deal with, we certainly can. But I think there's some big items on here.
Okay. Commissioner Moran.
Yeah, no, I wanted to just reiterate the domestic violence. I really like that idea. Also wanted to take the moment since I have the floor. I really like the idea of restructuring and making it a little easier to read, but with Nate's idea to restructure that as well. But to reiterate, the big thing I'd say was the domestic violence. I think that really was interesting for me.
All right. Thank you. And I think I got everyone. I think Commissioner Mueller had to leave. Did I miss anyone? You can. Yeah, I think if I missed anyone, now speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay. Since we have a minute, and there seems to be a couple of commission members that are interested in the domestic violence piece. Commissioner Keefe, I'm wondering if you would be willing to just say a few words about like what sorts of things are you interested in the commission doing on that front?
Yeah, I think in my appointment and coming here and talking with other survivors, especially families who have had family members be murdered as a result of domestic violence, a lot of the feedback that I've received is that the way that domestic violence cases are ranked displays, I don't have a good filter today, so I'm just gonna, a lack of recognition of the humanity of the victim compared to other crimes where there's a higher sentence for something that doesn't impact a human in the same way. And so being able to look at the way that domestic violence cases are ranked, compare them to other cases, like drug offenses is the one that often DV cases get compared to, and think about if there's a different way for us to really look at those cases and what the rankings look like. And whether having the rankings continue to be part of the current guideline or be separate. The other things to consider are things like criminalized survivors and how their experience is incorporated into sentencing outcomes, as well as what alternatives to incarceration look like, given that there's low-level first-time offenses versus someone that has a patterned history of using violence in relationships. And conversations around punishment versus transformation. So I think there's a lot that can go into that, but the impetus for me bringing that up to begin with really was talking with families where victims were murdered and some of the outcomes have been directly compared to drug outcomes. Yeah.
Thanks, that's really helpful. Thanks, I appreciate that. All right. Any other comments before we leave this topic? Comments, questions? All right, well, thank you. So I think that we have some coalescence around the overall topics. What I would ask commission members is to think about these a little bit. What I think I'm gonna do is, the two of the bigger ones are Hernandezing and the rewrite or the restructure. And what I'd like to do is actually spend full commission time next month, bringing some additional information forward on those two things. Like you can show a little snippet of what it might look like and that sort of thing. We can talk about some of the data the steering committee received on the Hernandezing front, just to kind of get everyone on the same footing on those issues. And I think it'd be a good use of full commission time anyway. So we can kind of do that to give you more grounding in sort of what we might be doing and get some feedback from the overall commission on those fronts. And then following that, we can solidify the steering committee or the committees that will work on those two issues. So you may change your mind in the course of that meeting and decide you want to be part of it, or I don't want any part of that. Something along those lines. So I think we'll do it that way. That way it's we're not switching to a subcommittee structure right away in February, but we probably will switch to that in March, and that'll give us a little time to figure out schedules and all that too. So and then we'll spend a little time in February just talking through some of the new ideas that were brought up as well, and figuring out priorities for the work. Sound good? All right, so that'll be our way forward. And I think that brings us to the close of that piece on the agenda. Thank you everyone for thinking about this and bringing your ideas forward. I appreciate it. And we're now ready to move on to item 7, which is the executive director's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before I begin it, just for members of the public who are online, if you would like, the item after this will be public comment. So if you would like to make a comment, please raise your hand. See if everybody can. Yes, I'm assuming that everyone should be able to raise their hand. So if you're on the phone and you would like to make a public comment, please indicate that by raising your hand. I really have just a couple of things.
Your thing isn't on.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you might have to say that again about public hearing then.
Yeah, so members of the public, if you would like to make a public comment for the next period, please indicate by raising your hand. Thank you. You should have something on your WebEx app on your phone that allows you to raise your hand. So two things. One is the legislative session is going to start late this year. So actually it won't even have started by the time we have our February meeting. It'll start in I think February 17th. So it's about 3 months of a legislative session. So we do have our legislative recommendations to present to them, in addition to all the other competing priorities that the legislature will be facing in that very short legislative session. The plan is for the chair and me to try to set up appointments with the chairs of the different crime committees. Well, I guess there's 2 crime committees, but there's one of the committees has 2 chairs. So that's 3 appointments that we'd have to set up. Just to give them an idea of what the recommendations are that we have, as well as just generally what the proposals are that the commission's proposing this year. The other thing that I wanted to point out is I hope that all of you got a letter, as I did, from the Minnesota Campaign Finance Board. So it is that time of the year again. Everybody on this commission has to register with the Campaign Finance Board. That includes people who were members during 2025, even if they're not members by the time of the deadline. So the deadline is January 26th, 2026. So please, everyone, file. If you don't know what I'm talking about, please can come and talk to me after the meeting. Thank you, Madam Chair. That concludes my report.
Oh, Commissioner Castro, do you have a question?
Just a question on that. If we already do that as an elected official.
I think that's satisfactory.
Do it as a commission.
There's something on there, because like I have two appointments as well. I have 2 things that I'm doing it for. And so like your profile will need to reflect both of those.
Okay.
So the hardest part is getting to make sure that your profile is up to date on that front. Did you have that too?
Yeah, so you don't have to file 2 separate reports. You file 1 report, but within that report, you indicate I'm on the Sentencing Guidelines Commission and I'm a judge. That's pretty easy.
And I think the judicial requirements are actually more onerous than the board member requirements. So you should be fine, but yeah, as long as your account is linked to both roles. Madam Chair, I don't see anybody having raised their hand. However, I don't know for sure that 2 of the members, they might have just dialed in. So I could unmute them and see if they want to make a comment.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to start by unmuting the caller with the last 2 digits of 37. Hi, this is Nate Wrights. Would you like to make a public comment by chance?
No, this is Julia Lafrenstein. I'm just listening in. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And now I'm going to unmute the caller named 28, last 2 digits 28. Hi, this is Nate Wrights. Would you like to make a public comment by chance? All right. And I'm going to mute that again. So apparently nobody wishes to make a public comment.
All right.
Can I make a public comment?
Oh, absolutely. If you wouldn't mind coming forward so that we can hear you, that'd be great. And then when you do come forward, welcome to the committee. Just state your name for the record and then go ahead and make your comment.
So my name is Keala Eid. I'm a judge on the Minnesota Court of Appeals, and I'm going to be starting as a commissioner tomorrow. And I just wanted to say my thanks to Judge Larkin on behalf of our court for her service. And typically, I grew up in Hawaii. I'm part Native Hawaiian, and typically at an event like this, in addition to cake and a plaque, someone would be presented with a lei. And so this is a kukui, which is a nut of the candle nut tree. And traditionally, Polynesians, including Native Hawaiians, use the oil from these nuts to make food, as medicine, and most importantly, to light lamps or torches. And so the significance or the metaphorical meaning, or what we say in Hawaiian, is the kauna of giving someone a lei like this is to thank them and show gratitude for them lighting the way. And I am very grateful, and the court is very grateful, and I've heard the commission say they're grateful for Judge Larkin's leadership, for her supporting me and joining. And so I just wanted to present this to her.
Thank you.
Did I tell you he's gonna?
Oh, yes.
That is so nice.
Isn't he great?
What a lovely way to end our meeting. Thank you so much. Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, there's no further business today, nothing else on the agenda. So I'm going to adjourn the meeting until February, and those that are here are welcome to join us for cake. Meeting's adjourned. Yep. Thank you.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Very thoughtful.
That's amazing.
As my son said, points.
Where's the cake?
The cake is back there.
Self-serve.
Yeah, I'm trying to just get out.